Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ashland Independent Film Festival. I hope you're having a great fest so far. We're virtual again this year. Happy 20th anniversary, AIFF. Um, One of the most amazing things is that this festival was one of the first major festivals to have to pivot a year ago when the pandemic started. And within weeks, they rolled out a amazing virtual program last year to great success. And with an abundance of caution and respect for safety of our audiences and filmmakers, this 20th anniversary is virtual for the first part, but I would like to let you know that you can participate and look forward to some outdoor screenings in downtown Ashland on June 24th to the 28th. I've been a part of a fan group of this festival for the last 7 or 8 years. Richard Herskowitz is an amazing artistic director and old friend from over the years in many festivals. And it's my great pleasure to moderate and welcome today's Q&A with the creative team and the on-camera team and the amazing historical figures that make up American Gadfly. Welcome today, gentlemen. It's great to have you.
Thank you. I think you have one historical figure in the senator and three hangers on.
Well, three history makers in the making. It's just I saw this film and it was like a bolt of lightning, a jolt of just positive energy as a father of 3 young adults. When I connected with Skye, we went to the same film school many years apart at Denison University. We're both cinema majors, and he reached out and shared the cut of your film over the summer, and it was just medicine. I mean, I know a lot of young people in your age bracket. I'm the father of 3 of them, and it's been really difficult to see what our country's been going through politically. And your film, your activism, your vision, and the reception of Senator and Mrs. Gravel has just been life-giving to me. And it's been my great pleasure to serve a small role in consulting on this film and helping the whole world to see what you've done. I'm going to shut up and turn it over to the makers. Skye, who's the director, making his directorial debut as a feature filmmaker with American Gadfly. His intrepid partner, Jeff Hammer, is a producer, and let them introduce you all, and welcome to the Q&A for American Gadfly.
Well, thank you, Marty. That was a beautiful introduction. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it short, but, I was a teen once, and during that time, we were deep in the trenches of the Iraq War, and, reading books and learning some things caused me to really become very angry about America and its role in the world and what was happening. And reading blogs from children in Iraq, broke my heart and made me want to just scream. And I saw Mike on the debates, and he was voicing what I felt. And I could not believe it, and I was tremendously inspired. I bought all the Mike Gravel bumper stickers and posted them all over Denison University, and I was screaming about the military-industrial complex and all these things. And I learned a lot. And one thing Mike told his supporters back then was the big problem with Obama was that he's going to inspire all these people for all this change and create a new generation of cynics. And I always kept that in mind because I never became cynical through the whole 8 years of Obama. There were some good things, but overall no drastic change. But I always remembered what Mike said was, we're going to create a whole new generation of cynics with these promises. And I kind of carried on and did my art. And, one day I always Google Mike Gravel, every few months, and saw the Rolling Stone article that, kids have hijacked Mike Gravel's Twitter. And I called Jeff. I said, we gotta find out what's going on. So yeah, we went on this incredible journey with Henry, David, the other Henry, and Elijah, and the senator, and I think got to tell a much needed story about the senator's legacy, which has kind of been ignored by the history books, which is crazy. And yeah, it also, the kids have humor. When I was at Denison screaming about the military industrial complex and all these things, I wasn't very funny about it. Something that the kids brought in was a much needed dose of humor. And yeah, so it was a wild ride. It re-inspired me, and I hope that people see it and learn about Mike and his vital part of American history. So,
Jeff, what was the call of duty for you on this project as you and Skye began to collaborate?
Honestly, Skye and I were talking about a couple of other projects. Like, we had come off like, a very convoluted, technically difficult short film that was going to be a proof of concept, and which still is going to be a proof of concept for a different feature. And we were looking at, some other narrative features that we were going to do next. And then I just remember I was just out on my porch in LA, and he just called. He's like, all right, I need you to Google Mike Gravel. I'm like, what is this about? And he just told me, it's like, I want to do a documentary, and we're going to get the funds together, and I'm going to be on a plane in 2 weeks. I was like, okay, but what? I had to play catch up. And then it all came together, very quickly. And then, but, once I started, reading the articles, I saw the Rolling Stone article. I was like, it's like an Onion article. I mean, there's got to be a joke, but it wasn't. Like, it was all like, legit. And then saw the initial footage, that we got out there when I think that was April of 2019, and then we just kind of kept, putting stuff together. I mean, I still just, remember, because I'm like, the details person, and I've never had a situation where I've had like interview subjects, where I had like David wasn't even 18 yet, so I had to have his mom sign his release, his film release, and just to like, go through. I'm like, all right, this is, I am, consider me curious. And then the story just kind of evolved the way that it did. And we just happened to be there at the ground floor, and we were along for the ride.
Senator Gravel, what was more weird, that these teens wanted to take over your Twitter account and get you back into the political arena as a candidate, or that there was a movie being made about it, or both?
No, my interest in the kids was their effort to expose the question of the military-industrial complex, the interminable wars, and that they went at that from a different point of view than standard SOP. So they captured my attention right from the get-go. Now, whether I thought it would go anywhere is another question, and it's gone a lot further than I ever thought it would happen. And I was very happy to give over my Twitter account. I was gambling on their ability to make right judgments, and it's worked. Little lumps here and there, but they're maturing, and so what it's offered them is an experience that people of that age would have and did have as a result of what Wayland Skye has done. So it's all been expanded. The idea started, everybody started to roll, and now look what we got. We got this wonderful movie that communicates. That's really what it's all about. It communicates to people, and that, in my mind, is the most important part of society, its ability to communicate from one another about what needs to be said, what needs to be done, and what needs to go forward.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your story and your home and your legacy with these amazing young men. I mean, so when I came to this, you were all were being called the teens, and now you're the men. And David's got his Senator Gravel mustache. Henry, David, Elijah, how does it feel to be at this point? This journey that you started has now been recorded on film and it's about to have its world premiere. How does it feel?
I mean, I think I would say, you know, this has been the great maturing experience of my life. You know, it has brought me, and Skye, you were talking about 2008 and the Iraq War, and that was your time, that was your moment, you know, of maturing and seeing the world, I guess, for what it really was. And I was, you know, I think we were at the beginning of that when we first met the senator. But what changed for me was that I think, you know, Mike and his legacy reached across the generations to us. You know, the reason that everyone asked us always during the campaign, why, you know, a senator from years and years ago, and why young kids? You know, what's this connection between, and people asked it with Bernie too, you know, the very old and the very young. What is this alliance that's taking place? And it's because in a world that we grew up in that feels so disillusioned, so inauthentic, that there's so few people with that integrity that stretches over the years. Mike is one of a handful, a tiny handful of people who have been on the right side for a very long time. And that was what spoke to me, you know, and spoke to us. And I think that's what connected with so many more people than we ever expected. You know, the way in which there's this alliance, this connection between people who fought out in the trenches in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, all the way to today, is because we've been through this great, you know, a slumber maybe of, you know, activism and of the left. You know, there's been this long downturn, and only recently, only in the last 10, 15 years has there been this reawakening, and it's happening in our generation, you know, maybe more than anything. And I think for us, it was about bringing Mike to that generation. And now, I mean, now, you know, he's a meme. He's a celebrity among young people on the left. You know, we were just looking at TikTok the other day and clips of Mike from the 2008 debates. You have 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds watching them. They were, you know, like children. They were barely alive when those debates happened, you know, but it's still impacting them. And I think my great hope would be,
it had 100,000 how do you call it,
likes. Yeah. And these are people who they were barely cognizant in 2008. You know, they were little kids, but it's still speaking to them, and it spoke to us. I mean, that's why we were so excited about this from the beginning, and because it meant so much to us. I'm so happy to be able to share it with others, you know, and I'm a little embarrassed watching myself. It's more than, you know, almost 2 years ago now, watching myself basically as a kid from my perspective, even though it's not been that long. But I'm willing to let that embarrassment happen. I'm willing to let that embarrassing side of me be out there if it teaches people my age the same lessons that I learned, you know, that I learned from the senator, that I learned from his legacy and from the campaign and the response it had. And I think that would be my great hope that people can take away from this film.
I think one of the great things about this film is that it reminds people of that, you know, that notion of, you know, the power and strength of a mustard seed. Like from a small idea and from intentionality, you know, great things can happen. And you all decided to be focused and intentional, and you know, in the process, you know, I think you made a few adults and professional strategists sweat a little bit.
I hope.
We know for a fact, actually, there were some conversations had. There were some people at the DNC who are not so happy.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So what's life now, you know, as we're hopefully getting toward the end of a pandemic? It looks like some of you may be in dorms. Where are you all now? And I know that you have continued your efforts in working with the senator beyond the campaign, beyond the movie, and launching the Gravel Institute. So what's going on now with you all?
So I'm currently the one in the dorm. David, I believe, and Henry are both back home. And in terms of what Henry said about the campaign being a maturing experience, I feel like the pandemic has also been a maturing experience, where, you know, instantly you go from this expectation of this being like a fairly lighthearted time in your lives, maybe a time when you're doing serious things, but a time when you're, you know, young and supposed to experience youth, to a time that's extremely serious, with, you know, it's absolutely unprecedented. And in terms of continuing Senator Gravel's legacy and continuing on this, Henry and David are very active in the Institute. I'm a little less active because I am away in part. And I think that now, you know, when we're reopening back up, we have the choice to reopen to the same world with the same problems, or to use this as an opportunity to move forward to something better and something new. And I think the Institute is a part of making sure that people are at least thinking of, you know, better possibilities than existed prior to the pandemic.
David, are you planning any campaigns as a strategist?
No, not at the moment. We have our hands full with the Gravel Institute. In fact, our most recent video with David Cross, I think it just hit 1.4 million views now. So we were just at a shoot yesterday, in fact, but we more than have our hands full with that, and we're really happy to be attempting to continue Mike's legacy, although not really in the full glory with that he is that he had with it. But no, it's no campaigns planned at the moment. No.
Well, and we've been very stymied. I mean, we desperately want to get out to California and see Mike and Wimmy. It's been a good while now, over a year since the pandemic started. We haven't been able to go. We're hoping David's vaccinated, Mike is getting vaccinated, I'm getting vaccinated. We're trying to get to that place where we can go, where we can shoot some videos, where we can get some stuff out. And what I wanted to speak to is the purpose, our purpose with the Institute and our purpose in trying to continue on what the campaign created. And really it speaks to what Skye said, which is that, the risk of Obama creating a generation of cynics, because there was so much hope, but it ran into such a brick wall, and so much frustration. And I think our hope was, yes, we made people angry. Yes, we got them thinking, we got them mad, but we need to keep going and give them a plan of action, give them a program, and a program that I think is drawn from the issues Mike has been focused on his entire life, a program drawn from, championing democracy, particularly direct democracy, and bringing that to the people. And most of all, I think, empowering them to believe it's their responsibility and duty to make the laws, to control the government, it's their mandate, and they need to seize on it and pick it up. And causing that awakening, it's not enough to get some attention. It's not enough to make people angry. And I think we did that in spades. The question is, can you give them a constructive and a positive message on top of that? And, it's hard to do that in tweets. It's hard to do that even in an entire campaign. You have to make it a lifelong project. And I mean, I don't think we know the exact path there. We don't, but what we have is an audience that cares so deeply about Mike and about the issues that were raised in the campaign. And they're very young, they're very inexperienced, and they're powerless. It's not a powerful backing that we have, but it is a energized one, and one that desperately wants to make the world better. They just don't know how. And I'm not saying we don't know all the answers, but we have this, guidebook to follow in Mike's life. And we also have this program and this desire for change that's welling up. And I feel that each day it becomes a little clearer to us, not all the way there, but a little clearer. And that's what our hope is to share that with the world as well, and to constantly bring their attention back to it.
I think if I could cut in here, I also want to touch on what Henry said about the possibility of the creation of a generation of cynics. And I think that one goal of the Institute is to ensure that instead of just, falling into the trap of cynicism, people take the opportunity to find out that there are real problems, but that there are possible solutions. And I think in particular, the issues that Mike has championed are more pressing now. In many ways, people are talking about in the media that we've reached a political juncture with the end of, so-called austerity politics, where, we have from a centrist Democrat who has a nuanced career at best, we have offers of like infrastructure spending and the like. But at the same time, we're hearing of efforts made by the legislatures of Georgia, of Texas, to restrict the fundamental right of voting. And at the same time, there's increased involvement in America's, by the military industrial complex, by the Pentagon in the Middle East, including a ramping up of, Syrian intervention. And so what we have now is we have a juncture point where we don't want to let the appearance of good things make people believe that we're necessarily headed in the right direction. We can hope that we are, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And if nobody's talking about the fact that, well, there's some things we approve of going on, there's some things which are absolutely disastrous and need to be dealt with. That's the time when cynicism springs up. And so in that way, the Institute is an attack on cynicism.
Senator Gravel,
I would rather be informed and know the reality of the situation versus being, overly hopeful and become cynical, for sure. And that's something that the film on. It's part of Mike's whole career, is informing people. And people should know things, and that can be kind of scary to the establishment or even people that just look, we just got to win. Okay. It's important for the public to be informed. And that's something that Mike has done his entire life. And it's something that the kids continue to do. I don't even want to call them kids, but the Gravel Institute continues to inform people hard truths. People need to know hard truths, or else they can't operate in an intelligent way.
In line with that, with the meeting we're going to have in California that Henry was talking about, and it will be very important to not only have Henry and David and any others who can fly in for the meeting. I will certainly have my daughter and son fly in for it because they're as interested in the legacy as anybody else. So, but what we'll concentrate on is trying to figure out how best to approach the future, how best to organize ourselves in a very compelling way, and not a pretentious way, but in concepts that make sense. What made sense with Henry and David was at the beginning putting out information about what they thought was important on the various issues that I had raised. Now, the fact that they were now doing this in a new generation added not a flavor, but added a strength to these views. And I say a strength because whenever somebody adds something to what somebody else is doing, you're moving forward. And that's one of the reasons why this film activity of Wayne, come on, Skye is so important. Now you'll notice that Whitney gave me a little kick so that I could know who to talk to. I got to tell you, getting old sucks, but it is what it is, and how much strength I've got left remains to be seen. But I do want to set up a meeting with David, Henry, and anybody else that wants to come up for it. We'll organize it in a deliberative fashion. In other words, we'll sit there and go over the issues do we think are going to be important for the future, and how we're going to deal with them in the future. And we'll deal with the fact that I'm limited in the amount of time I have left, but whatever we got, and we'll use as best we can, and in the process, equip ourselves with the thinking of what we're doing. As when we take one approach on one facet of it, like the cynicism facet or the positive facet, these are all things that we need to develop from a legislative point of view, so that we can proceed constructively and not just articulate the views of the past, but views that are current and has to develop, and views that are current and do not insult other people.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we have to really concentrate on. We need to get our thoughts across progressively, and with that progressive position, to advance them so that they are more effective. So that's one of the issues we'll be dealing with when we get together, probably in May. Would be a good time. May
This
13th.
is a great gift that you, Senator, and Mrs. Gravel have given to us, the viewers of this film, opening up your lives and your trust and your legacy. And we have multiple generations on this Zoom right now. We cover the whole spectrum, and there's something here for all of us. As we wrap up the talk of today, it's the world premiere of American Gadfly, the movie. Jeff, Skye, this is the beginning of the next phase of all the work that it's taken to embody this work in a lovely, 95, 100-minute film. What's next? What can people be on the lookout for?
American Gadfly 2. I don't know.
Where can people go?
That's for sure.
I'm
And
so focused on this film. Sorry.
the American Gadfly 2 is for sure. And what it is, it's not just a gadfly, it's the team of people who have realized that they want to participate in creating the Gadfly 2.
Absolutely. And I wish we could have more people with us, that I could say, because it's not just us. I mean, we're in the documentary, but there's so many people who have not just made this possible, but now with the Institute, we have directors, animators, we have writers, we have supporters, we have patrons who fund it, who make it possible. And so it's not us, and it isn't just Mike, it's everyone who believes in him, and everyone who's even watched him once and connected with it. That's the kernel of some new possibility. And in terms of what's next, I would say, obviously, if people like the film, if they're interested, they can always go, to the Gravel Institute on YouTube. They can see we have videos from the campaign. We have new videos, and our hope is when we go and visit Mike, we can do a video with him on direct democracy and on the military-industrial complex, and just, get all the footage we can, make some, good videos. And that's, what we're trying to do is change minds piece by piece. So, we're not stopping in that mission, no matter what. That's, I think, a lifelong project for all of us. And it's certainly been Mike's project.
Buy Mike's new book as well. That's the other one.
Yeah, the new book will be in full force out there.
Yep.
And this whole concept of the failure of representative government, and which was Whitney's idea, incidentally, which was to go ahead and attack the Constitution by using its deficiencies in juxtaposition to the Declaration of Independence. And so everybody is enamored of the Constitution, when in point of fact, this is the barrier that we have by having the Constitution so revered, when in point of fact, it's the Declaration of Independence that has made us so great as a society. And these are the things that will eventually come out. Now, one of the reasons why Whitney's idea was so enlightening to me is that it'll be interesting to see how academia handles that subject, because the whole issue of the Declaration of Independence has been subordinated to the Constitution.
Yeah.
And the Constitution is what has been terrible in putting forth the concept of slavery and the concept of rule by the majority, by a minority. So we'll deal with that and discuss that. In fact, that's the most significant thing in the book. Now that we show these solutions and how people can do it, that's fine. But the challenge of having the Constitution challenged, because it put in place slavery and a lot of other negatives that plague us to this day.
Yeah.
It's a real joy to have you still leading us, Senator Gravel. Even in retirement, you're more busy, or as busy as I'm sure you were in 1969 to 1981. Your legacy is alive. Your passion, your love for our country and the betterment of our country is alive. And we really salute you for opening up and being such a champion across the decades of your career. And it's a real treat for us to be with you today. And I really hope I can get Miss Whitney Gravel to make a cameo real quick. She's
Whitney too.
A lovely lady. Here she is. Thank you, Mrs. Gravel, for being the wind in his sails as well.
Thank you, Whitney.
Whitney,
look forward to seeing you in May.
David's sending me flights right now.
Don't waste any time, guys.
well,
Whitney is a critical part of the film and the story, because it was up to her if the campaign would go forward. So
I saw that scene and I was like, this is the decision. This is where it's going to
That was David. I remember
that's
David
what
and
they
I.
said, but in reality, the teens at the time, as soon as they filed the papers, it was beyond my ability to say no.
It spun beyond. We unleashed something we had no power over once it had taken control. Yeah. I remember David sitting up at night typing out a memo. He's like, "All right, give me some arguments. I need some more. How are we going to convince?" And he's like writing a memo in the middle of the night.
Well, you did it.
I think that's the beauty of all of this, is what you all have concocted. The alchemy of your connection is amazing. Please share the movie. Skye, why don't you take us home and let us know where people can get more information about the movie?
Well, you can definitely go to our website, AmericanGadflyMovie.com, and check out Ashland Independent Film Festival website. we're on all the social media and our Twitter. You can check out Gravel Institute or Gadfly Movie on Twitter, and we're pretty much everywhere. If you can't find us, then
Well,
you might
here,
not.
I really want to enter something that when you sent me the box, the promo box,
Oh yeah.
I thought that was the most flattering thing I've ever seen about me in my whole career. I mean, and you got this yellow here behind you. I was just blown away that this is the advertisement of the film. Blown away.
Your creativity is demonstrated in so many ways, Skye. Congratulations. And Jeff, too.
Thank you. And please.
Thank you, but honestly, it's a team effort. It really is.
When you go to the website, you can join our mailing list, and so you can stay up to date with all the things that are happening with the film as we screen at Ashland. There will be other screenings in the future, and then will be commercially available at some point in the future. And we just hope as many people check it out. Wherever they fall on the political spectrum, I think everyone will enjoy it.
Yeah, this is truly a movie for all Americans, whatever side of the aisle you are, or whichever wing of the bird you're flapping. We all need to be engaged. American Gadfly is an important film that talks about our history, our past, our present, and our future. A big hats off not only to the Senator and Mrs. Gravel for their life and legacy, but Elijah and David and Henry, the whole team at the Gravel Institute. Thank you so much. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a nod to the Ashland Independent Film Festival. Their artistic director, Richard Herskowitz, is amazing. The team there is amazing. I wish we could all be in Ashland. It's a lovely town, being up and down Main Street. I hope will be in our history and our future for American Gadfly too. And the last thing for people viewing is look at the activism track of the festival. There's an amazing thing that's happening with youth in America. There's another film in the festival about youth activism that has an Oregon connection called Youth v. Gov, youth suing the government over injustice in the environment. There's a movie from the Bay Area called Homeroom about the lives of students at Oakland High School witnessing Black Lives Matter and other failures of justice in our country. And then a movie from the Indigenous communities in Canada, a movie called Beans, about inspired by a moment in time in recent Canadian history amongst the Mohawk people. So these films are joining American Gadfly, and it's really wonderful to see that the youth are using film, like Senator Gravel said, to communicate. Communication is what's going to either destroy us or save us, and hopefully it's going to save us as a country and as a nation. We really appreciate Ashland and wish you a very happy 20th anniversary, albeit virtual. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Marty.
Very good. Thank you.